Documentary filmmaker Micheal Moore has predicted that Donald Trump appears to have the momentum in battleground states and that he will win the election in 2020 if the Democrats do not change their strategy. Now, Micheal Moore, he's a documentary filmmaker, and he really got a lot of credit, massive credit, for predicting Donald Trump's win in 2016, back when nobody thought it was possible for Donald Trump to win, right? So, there's an article by The Guardian, and they talked about his warning that Trump is on the course to repeat a win in 2016. So, filmmaker says enthusiasm for Trump, this is according to The Guardian, for president in swing states is off the charts and urges everyone to commit to getting 100 people to vote. So, he goes on to talk about, sorry, I have to provide a reality check to you guys again, but enthusiasm for Trump's off the charts in key areas, compared to the Democratic nominee, Joe Biden, who does not have much enthusiasm. He asks, quote, "Are you ready for a Trump victory? Are you mentally prepared to be outsmarted by Trump again? Do you find comfort in certainty that there's no way Trump can win? Are you content with your trust that you've placed in the DNC to pull this off?" And he's asking good questions. Of course, Donald Trump retweeted him and said, "Michael knows," with 3 exclamation points. You can't make this up. This guy's ridiculous. Yeah, see, man, Michael knows I'm going to win. Michael knows, it's your favorite president, Donald Trump. He tweeted out the other day something about being people's favorite president. I'm just like, oh, God, give me a break, man. But, anyways, so back to the issue at hand. He's right. Micheal Moore is absolutely right. Donald Trump could win again. And the reason why is because despite the fact that there's coronavirus, despite the fact that Donald Trump has some of the lowest approval ratings of his presidency, the enthusiasm is just there for him more than it is for Biden. People aren't really enthusiastic about voting for Biden. Even people who said that they will vote for him, the number one reason, I believe they took a poll, and like 64% of the people who were polled said, I believe it was 64, was it 64, 62? It was over 60% of the people who were polled said they were voting for him because, quote, he was not Trump. So not because of an ideology, not because of some bill that he's going to do or some drastic change he's going to make, just because he's not Trump. Now, if Bernie Sanders had been the nominee, people were very, very enthusiastic about him because he wanted to do Medicare for all. He wanted to tax the rich. He wanted to do the Green New Deal, basically expand Social Security, basically do everything that we should be doing that we're not doing, to catch up to the rest of the world, right? And enthusiasm for Bernie was off the charts, but the Democratic establishment said, oh no, we have a better chance of winning with Joe Biden, which is ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous because Joe Schmo, or as I like to call him, Average Joe, I know Trump does Sleepy Joe, I do Average Joe, is just what he sounds like. He's basically a moderate Republican. He has nothing on his platform that's fundamentally going to change at all. Like, he did say, all right, I'm going to put us back in the Paris Climate Agreement. Yeah, that's good. But no Green New Deal, no Medicare for all. He wants to do a public option on Obamacare. And now the DNC, as I mentioned in another video, took a public option off of their platform. So now there might not even be a public option for Obamacare, which is crazy to me. And it's like, yeah, so Biden has no policies that make you like, yes, I want to vote for Biden. Oh man, I'm so enthusiastic. We got to get this guy in. Nothing. The only reason people are voting for Biden largely is because they know him or he's not Trump. And when you look at his voting record, he's like, yeah, I'm going to expand on what Obama did. He's basically a poor man's Obama, right? He's like Obama without the political savviness at this point. Now, credit to his career as a politician. Not his record. His record is abysmal. This is the guy who signed the crime bill and tough on crime. A lot of African Americans went to jail because of him. And just nonviolent offenders. Period. But so his record is abysmal. But as far as being a politician, he was at least a good politician up until I would say about 3 or 4 years ago. And now it appears that he's like losing his mind slowly, but definitely losing it. Or at the very least, like, I don't want to say he has dementia, because that's like a bold claim. I know a lot of people are saying that, but he's getting old. I'll put it that way. He's getting old. And when you say someone's getting old, you know what you mean, like mentally. So, yeah, it's like he doesn't have the political savviness. He has no ideology. He basically is just like, yeah, I was Obama's vice president and I can beat Trump, so vote for me. Trump, despite the fact that his campaign has sucked as well, his campaign's been like, it's make America great again, but it's almost keep America great again. As if America's great. As if we're not in a pandemic and stuff. But despite all that, the 40% of the country or 35% of the country that's hardcore Trump is going like hardcore Trump right now, man. Like, the enthusiasm for Trump, like they're having the Trump boat festivals and all this other, random shit. Like, the enthusiasm for this guy is at an all-time high. It's like all-time high. Like high as hell, like J.R. Smith. All-time high. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, man. It's just crazy. It's like Micheal Moore is saying everyone needs to get 100 people to vote to make sure Trump wins. But you know what? I'm going to go further than that. The DNC just needs to change their platform, period. Like, they're abysmal. They basically are like, hey, let's take the same platform that Republicans have. Only, instead of us being outright blatantly racist, we're going to say, oh no, we're progressive. And we also love the environment, as well. And, we love African Americans. We think everyone should have rights. We hate police brutality. And we need to make sure Americans are insured. Let's just say all this, and then let's just not do shit. That's basically the DNC's platform. Like, let's talk a good game and not do anything. And now they've gotten so comfortable they're not even talking a good game. And you know what? They never learned, man. They never learned. They didn't learn from 2016, and they're not learning now. It's like, it's starting to get ridiculous. Like, I seen the other day, Michigan is a state where Biden has a slight lead, but Trump's been closing the lead in the polls, right? So, what does Joe Biden decide to do? He decides that he will not campaign in Michigan, and that the campaign will not focus their attention on Michigan. Does this sound familiar? Yeah, because Hillary Clinton did the same thing in 2016. Now, I understand people tend to like Joe Biden more than Hillary. Hillary was not really the most likable candidate, whereas Joe Biden is extremely likable. But, come on, man. You're doing the same thing that you did in 2016. Like, a wise person once said, you can't do the same shit and expect different results. It is true. It's like, if I'm baking a chocolate cake, right? And I'm like, okay, I want a vanilla cake this time, but I'm still going to use the chocolate recipe. It's going to come out chocolate. It's not going to be vanilla, right? So, if you're employing the same strategy that Hillary used in 2016, what makes you think you're going to win the election? What? Like, I don't understand, Like, the Democratic platform is just, it kills me. But more than the platform, it's like the marketing, the ads they're running. It's like Joe Biden, I seen an ad the other day that he ran, basically saying, I want to be quite clear, rioting and looting is criminal behavior, and it's not a protest. I'm sure, like, the average American. Now, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of people who support rioting and looting, right? Um, but I'm pretty sure the average American is sitting at home, like, yeah, no shit. Rioting and looting is not protesting. And what's your point? Like, he's still trying to do this 1990s tough on crime type thing. It's like, that's not going to reach the voters. Like, we're in a political climate right now where police brutality is at the forefront. Black Lives Matter is a big thing. People want health insurance. And you decide to focus on rioting and looting. It's like, this is what I mean. It's like, sure, Trump might say like something crazy like, oh, when the looting starts, the shooting starts. Right? But Joe Biden, he'll say the same thing, just in a more classy way. Instead of saying when the looting starts, the shooting starts, he says, I want to be very clear, everyone who's rioting and looting should be prosecuted. It's like, it's the same thing. You're getting the same thing, you're just getting it in a nicer way. And this is what Americans have woken up to. And this is why a lot of people don't vote. Like, they say, oh, younger people don't vote. Yeah, younger people don't vote because they don't believe in the system. It's not because they're uneducated. This is the most educated generation of young voters or young voting age people ever. The reason why young people aren't voting is because they're tired of the bullshit, man. Like, you're running the exact same playbook from 2016. And people like Micheal Moore, people like me, and probably you guys listening, are looking at this saying, what the hell are you doing? Like, God literally gave the DNC a gift, right? Since lately they want to talk about, oh, God, God bless the troops and stuff. They're trying to pander, I guess, to the more religious side of the internet and the country in general. So, you want to talk about God? Well, God gave you a gift called COVID-19, right? And he also gave you a gift called Donald Trump losing his political senses. It's literally the perfect storm to win an election. And you guys still can't run the right playbook. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, almost 200,000 Americans have died on Trump's watch. We should be talking about that. Why are you running ads about rioting, trying to pander to people who aren't going to vote for you in the first place? The only people who equate protesters with rioters are far-right people who support Trump's base, people who support Blue Lives Matter, which sounds dumb to say people who support Blue Lives Matter. Like, it's not even a legitimate movement, but people who support Blue Lives Matter, and fascist, racist, white nationalist, and, Nazi groups. Those people are not going to vote for you, Joe. They're just not. Now, your average American who's like, well, I live in a swing state, and basically, I voted for Donald Trump because my job got outsourced to India or China, and I want my job to come back, and he said he's going to bring jobs back. Those are the people you should be targeting, okay? The people who are out in the street saying, oh, Black Lives Matter, we're getting gunned down by the police. Those are the people you should be targeting, okay? Not this right-wing group of people who's like, oh yeah, the violent protesters. When the protesters aren't violent, the looters and rioters are violent, Now, not to say some people can't protest and some people and loot and riot, but the majority of the protesters that I've encountered and I've talked to have been peaceful. So, pretty much, it's like, what are you doing, Joe? What are you doing? And this will continue. This cycle will continue. Because if they lose, they're going to blame it on younger people not voting and people being idiots and voting for Trump because obviously Trump's incompetent and people who vote for Trump are idiots and we should have won. And if they win, it'll be a fluke win. Basically, like, you're in the perfect situation to win. Like, you could run a tin can against Donald Trump and win, right? And they're going to continue to market and platform the exact same way for the next election and the next election. Guys, this is why we have got to get the Neo Libs out, man. We got to get the Neo Libs out. Listen, when you go and vote, don't just vote progressive. donate to progressives. Even if the progressives aren't in your states, donate to them. Because as long as you have this neoliberal, lukewarm, I'm going to pretend like I have an agenda, I don't, I'm for good things and against bad things type of Democratic Party, type of DNC, type of presidential candidate, namely Joe Biden, we're going to stay stagnant. We're going to stay politically stagnant. Democratic Party will continue to be just what it is, which is an establishment party that's basically a diet version of the Republicans. Like, and nothing's going to change in the country. Nothing's going to change. Now, do I think it has to be that way? No, I don't. And do I think that we have an opportunity to make change? Yes, I do. But that change starts with not just the presidency. We got to get some of these establishment people out of here, man. Like who's running against Pelosi? Who's running against Nancy Pelosi? Because I would love to donate like as much money as possible to their campaign. Like, do we have anyone running against any of the establishment Democrats or Republicans for that matter? You know, like who's running against Mitch McConnell? It's actually Mark Kelly. Mark Kelly's running against Mitch McConnell. So, yep, if you live in Tennessee, definitely please support Mark Kelly's campaign. We need Mitch McConnell out of there, but it's like, man, we got to get rid of the establishment. Because at this point, they're doing the same thing over and over again. And if you continue down this path of, yes, it's 1990 and I will say the right things and be very, very, very professional, and I'm against good things and for bad things. Yes, this is it. As long as you continue that, people are going to get tired of the BS, and you're going to get another fake populist like Trump who comes up and says, hey, I'm different, and he's going to win the election. And that's what's going to keep happening over and over again. So, just like Micheal Moore said, just like I'm saying, if Donald Trump is going to be the president again in 2021 and he wins re-election, please do not be surprised, because you can see this coming a mile away.